Hello everyone! Welcome to another discussion on income taxation. Sa video ito ay ipagpatuloy natin yung discussion natin sa regular income tax, exclusions from gross income. And of course, I'm giving full credit to Sir Rex B. Banggawan CPA MBA for his book, Income Taxation, Laws, Principles, and Applications. Sa nakaraang dalawang discussions natin ay napag-usapan na natin kung ano-ano ba yung mga income items that are excluded from the gross income. Ngayon naman, ang pag-uusapan natin ay ang iba pang mga income items that are also exempt from the income tax under the NIRC and special laws. So, ano-ano ba ang mga ito? We have minimum wage and certain benefits of minimum wage earners, income of Barangay Micro Business Enterprises Act that is in accordance to RA 9178. We also have income of cooperatives that is RA 9520. Income of non-stock non-profit entities, income of qualified employee trust funds, and business or professional income of self-employed and or professionals who opted to the 8% income tax. Ngayon ay pag-uusapan natin ang bawat isa sa kanila and simulan natin dito sa number 1, itong tungkol sa mga minimum wage earners. So, sino ba si minimum wage earner? Siya yung empleyado na sumasahod lang ng minimum wage. Yung minimum wage naman, ang nag-determine nun or ang nag-set nun ay yung taga-Regional Tripartite Productivity Wage and Productivity Board ng Department of Labor and Employment. Yung minimum wage, nagdi-differ yan, depende sa lugar. Like for example, sa mga urbanized areas, yung minimum wage nila kasi mahal yung cost of living doon, mas malaki compared to the minimum wage dito sa mga provinces. So, yung mga minimum wage earners, they are exempt from the income tax with respect to their minimum wage. And kasali na dun sa exemption, yung kanilang holiday pay, yung overtime pay nila, yung night shift differential pay, tsaka yung hazard pay nila. Now, another income item that is exempt from the income tax ay yung income ng Barangay Micro Business Enterprise. So, ano naman yung Barangay Micro Business Enterprise or BMBE? A BMBE is a business entity or enterprise engaged in the production, processing, or manufacturing of products or commodities, and that includes agro-processing, trading, and services, whose total assets, including those arising from loans, but exclusive of the land on which the particular business entity's office, plant, and equipment are situated, do not exceed 3 million pesos. Again, class ha, yung total assets ng isang BMBE does not exceed 3 million pesos. Pero sa 3 million pesos na yon, hindi kasali doon yung land in which doon nakatayo yung opisina o kaya yung plant and equipment ni BMBE. Also, take note class na yung BMBE is engaged in the business of production, processing, or manufacturing of products or commodities including agro-processing, trading, and services. However, dito sa services, hindi kasali dito yung mga services na pinoprovide or ino-offer ng mga licensed professionals. A BMBE could be in the form of a sole proprietorship, pwedeng partnership, cooperative, a corporation, association, or other entity which is incorporated or organized and existing under the Philippine laws and is registered with the Office of the Treasurer of a city or municipality. Para ma-qualify as a BMBE, dapat hindi siya branch or subsidiary ng ibang company, tapos dapat siya ay independent. Ibig sabihin, meron siyang kanyang sariling policies, meron siyang kanyang sariling operations, at hindi siya nakadepende kung ano yung sasabihin ng ibang company. Just like sa mga franchise agreements. And para ma-avail yung mga benefits and privileges ng isang BMBE, just like yung exemption nila from the income tax, dapat meron silang certificate of authority to operate as a BMBE galing dun sa Office of the City Treasurers o kaya sa Office ng Municipality Treasurer. So, yung income ng BMBE galing sa kanyang operations is exempt from the income tax. Ibig sabihin, it is excluded. Hindi yun kasali from the gross income subject to regular income tax. So, ang gagawin ng BMBE is mag-file siya ng annual information return instead of the annual income tax return. So, again, yung gagawin niya is mag-file ng annual information information return. Now, for the non-operating income of the BMBE, just like the passive income and capital gains, that will be subject to the appropriate type of income tax. Like for example, for passive income, generally they are subject to the final tax. Capital gains naman, they will be subject to capital gains tax. Alright, now let's have this illustration related to BMBE. William has a bakery with total assets of 4 million pesos, inclusive of a lot with a book value of 1,200,000 pesos. The accounting records of the bakery show the following information. Gross income from sales of bread, 300,000 pesos. Interest on promissory notes of retail store clients, 12,000 pesos. Royalties on sale of receipt books, 36,000 pesos, and dividend income from domestic stocks, 10,000 pesos. So, kanina nabanggit ko 'di ba na in order for a business to qualify as a BMBE, dapat yung kanyang total assets ay hindi susobra sa 3 million pesos. And take note na sa 3 million pesos ceiling amount of total assets, hindi kasali doon yung value ng lot or yung value ng land na ginagamit sa operations. Dito sa illustration, yung total assets ng bakery na 4 million pesos, kasama na dito yung value ng lot amounting to 1,200,000 pesos. Pero 'di ba sa qualification, requirement, in order for a business to qualify as a BMBE, dapat yung total assets niya ay hindi susobra sa 3M, pero hindi kasama dun dapat yung value ng lot or yung value ng land. So dito sa illustration, kailangan nating tanggalin or i-remove itong value ng lot. So we have 4 million pesos minus 1,200,000 pesos. So yung total asset ng bakery ni William ay 2,800,000 pesos. So pasok sa 3M na ceiling amount. So therefore, yung bakery is qualified as a BMBE. Pero hindi yan automatic na yung bakery BMBE ha. Kailangan pang kumuha ni William ng Certificate of Authority to Operate as BMBE galing dun sa Office of the City Treasurer o kaya Office of the Municipality Treasurer. Kapag na-comply na ni William itong Certificate of Authority to Operate as a BMBE, itong gross income from the sales of bread na 300,000 pesos at itong interest on promissory note of retail store clients na 12,000 pesos, since ito yung mga income na galing sa operations ng bakery, this will be exempt from the regular income tax. Take note lang sana yung operating income lang ng BMBE ang exempt from the regular income tax. Yung non-operating income, just like the passive income and capital gains, that will be subject to the appropriate type of income tax. So for passive income, that will be subject to final tax, and yung capital gains naman, that will be subject to the capital gains tax. So dito sa illustration, yung operating income lang ng bakery dito is etong gross income from the sales of bread na 300,000 pesos. At itong interest income on promissory note of retail store clients na 12,000 pesos. So the total operating income exempt from the regular income tax here is 312,000 pesos. Etong royalties on sale of the receipt books na 36,000 pesos and dividend income from domestic stocks na 10,000 pesos, ito ay mga non-operating income na ng bakery. And since etong dalawang to ay parehos na passive income, so they will be subject to final tax. Now, kapag hindi na-comply ni William etong Certificate of Authority to Operate as a BMBE, ibig sabihin nun, hindi niya na-register yung bakery niya as a BMBE. So, hindi niya ma-enjoy yung benefits and privileges ng isang BMBE, kasama na doon yung exemption ng kanyang operating income from the regular income tax. So, that would mean na etong total operating income na 312,000 pesos, kasi nga hindi siya registered as BMBE, so that will be subject to the regular income tax. Another example, Chris Santana has an accounting and an auditing firm with total assets of 2,500,000 pesos. He derived a total operating income of 1 million pesos in 2014. So this is a service-oriented business. So ano ba yung sabi dun sa BMBE kapag services ang pinag-uusapan? Sabi dito, yung services excludes those services rendered by licensed professionals. So that means, etong line of business ni Chris Santana, etong accounting and auditing services, ito ay piniperform lang ng isang licensed professional. So therefore, hindi ito qualified as BMBE. Okay? So, ibig sabihin nun, etong 1 million pesos operating income ni Chris Santana will be subject to the regular income tax. Revocation of BMBE tax exemption. So, there are those instances na pwedeng i-cancel itong income tax exemption ng mga BMBE. So, ito yung mga pwedeng dahilan ng cancellation or revocation ng BMBE tax exemptions. Number 1, transfer of place of business. 2, value of assets exceeds 3 million pesos. 3, voluntary surrender of the certificate of authority. 4, death of the registered individual owner, violation or non-compliance with the provision of RA 9178. 5th, merger or consolidation with an entity which is not eligible to be a BMBE. 6th, sale or transfer of the BMBE if a sole proprietorship without prejudice to the transferee applying for registration. 7th, submission of fake or falsified documents. 8, retirement from business or cessation or suspension of operations for 1 year. And then lastly, making false or omitting required declarations or statements. Alright, tapos na tayo sa income of Barangay Microbusiness Enterprise. So ngayon naman punta tayo sa pangatlong income item that is exempt under NIRC and special laws. Itong income ng cooperatives. So for cooperatives that transact business purely with its own cooperative members, they're exempt from all taxes and fees. For cooperatives that transact business with non-members, they are also exempt from all taxes and fees provided na yung accumulated reserve and undivided savings nila do not exceed 10 million pesos. Kapag nag-i-exceed na ng 10 million pesos, the amount of surplus allocated for interest and capital is going to be subject to the regular income tax. Yung income naman ng cooperatives galing sa mga non-related sources, that's going to be fully taxable to regular tax. For non-stock and non-profit entities, yung income nila from operations is exempt from the income tax. And then yung income nila from unrelated sources is taxable. Another item exempt from the income tax ay etong income ng qualified employee trust funds. So, yung Employees Trust Fund, which forms part of the pension, stock bonus, or profit-sharing plan of an employer para sa benefit ng kanyang mga employees, is exempt from any income tax under the NIRC. Qualification of exemption of exempt entities. So, taxpayers with exemptions or tax incentives under any existing laws or contracts must establish their entitlement by filing required documents with the BIR. So, for the BMBE, kailangan nilang mag-secure ng Certificate of Authority to operate as a BMBE. And then for cooperatives, kailangan nila yung Certificate of Tax Exemption or Rolling or CTE. Once exemption is established, it only operates prospectively. So, kailangan munang mag-file yung taxpayer ng mga required documents doon sa BIR. Like, for example, for BMBE, kailangan muna na makakuha sila ng Certificate of Authority to operate as a BMBE. And then, for cooperatives, kailangan nila yung Certificate of Tax Exemption or Tax Ruling. And then, once na meron na yan, saka pa nila ma-enjoy yung tax exemption or tax incentives. Next, the income of self-employed and or professionals who opted to be taxed to the 8% income tax shall be excluded in gross income subject to regular tax. The 8% income tax is in lieu of the 3% percentage tax and the progressive income tax. And then lastly, yung income na subject to final income tax or capital gains tax, hindi na yun kasali sa gross income subject to regular income tax.